Hey guys, it's Luke again with the 4th episode of Motor Minds, and believe it or not, today we are driving something kind of special, at least by my standards. We are in a 2016 Dodge Charger SXT, and I did not expect to be driving a Dodge Charger during my 4th review, to be brutally honest. I mean, yes, it's an SXT with the base 3.6 liter V6. It's not a Hemi, which kind of stinks, but what you gonna do? So, back in 2015, Dodge redesigned the Challenger, if you'd even want to call it that. Basically, they changed up the exterior. The interior is exactly the same. And what they did basically was they made the exterior a whole lot more attractive. The old car was a bit more like a brick. It was more up in your face, more muscle car-like. And that's not to say this car is less like a muscle car, but it's a lot more refined, a lot more restrained. In a sense, the front end is a lot more curvaceous. The front and rear, the headlights and taillights are a lot more curvaceous on this car. They're a lot swoopier. They kind of curve in with the sides of the car, making the car look a whole lot more fluid. But they're also a lot more aggressive than the previous Charger. I mean, the way that the lights create a halo around the headlight bezel is really cool. And the lights and the grille kind of blend into each other, which makes the car just look really menacing when you're looking at it. The sides of this car are still pretty slab-sided. Not a whole lot going on there. It still looks like a race car like the old Charger did. And the sill line for the windows is actually pretty high up. So there's not a lot of area to see out because of the styling of this car, but it looks really cool from the outside, and from the inside you feel like you're inside like a fighter jet or an old muscle car, for instance, and it's really cool. And this car turns heads. This is arguably one of the best looking large sedans out there. I mean, you can't find anything that looks as badass as this car. This car just oozes like badassedness. New word that I came up with just from driving this car. So let's move on to the powertrain. So obviously you can get the Charger in plenty of engines. You can get the base 3.6 liter Pentastar engine, the 5.7 liter Hemi, the 6.4 liter Hemi, and then obviously the Hellcat V8 with the supercharger putting out 707 horsepower. As much as I wish that I was in that car right now, I'm not. I'm in the SXT with the 3.6 liter V6, but that's not a bad thing like a lot of people would think. It puts out 292 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque, which is enough to get this behemoth from 0 to 60 in 6 seconds flat, which is actually pretty good. I mean, you probably get like a second off that with the Hemi V8, but this car feels really quick. And this engine feeds its power through an 8-speed ZF gearbox, which is a whole lot better than the old 5-speed that was in the previous generation of Charger. That car didn't have enough ratios, and it was honestly pretty slow to shift. But this car is pretty quick to shift, and it has manual mode, obviously, so I can select the gears myself, and it actually rose through them pretty quick. You just pull the lever and you're in the next gear. And what I really love about this transmission, which some people might hate, but I personally like it, is that it doesn't upshift too quickly. A lot of modern automatic transmissions will upshift like that to get you better fuel economy. This car will actually hold the revs a bit, which is nice if you're driving like a sports car driver would, keeping it on the gas. You don't want to be shifting too early and getting out of the power band. And this car doesn't do that. So the other cool thing about this car is that it's rear-wheel drive, which creates really neutral handling characteristics. A lot of big sedans nowadays are front-wheel drive, which is kind of a pain. It doesn't handle quite as well, but this car, it feels very neutral around the corners, which is really nice. So that brings me on to the handling of the Charger. It doesn't really handle like a sports car, I'm going to be brutally honest. Yes, it does have adjustable electric steering. You can have it in normal mode, comfort mode, or sport mode. And basically, it doesn't really change anything. They all feel pretty much the same. I mean, sport mode is a little bit tighter, but all the steering modes kind of lack on-center feel, which is really quite annoying. It doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. And this car, just because of the way it's designed, doesn't feel that great in terms of handling because it's so wide. You look out over this massive hood, and it feels great in the terms of just you feeling like you're driving a tank, and it feels really awesome to drive. You feel like you're in this behemoth of a vehicle powering down the road, looming over other lesser motorists. But from a handling standpoint, it just feels like you have to push this car through corners, and it doesn't really feel eager to get up and dance. But, I mean, it's a muscle car. They aren't meant to drive like that. They're meant to be these huge barnstorming cars that will take down anything in their path. So, let's show you what 292 horsepower will do. And there's 60, just like that. And that wasn't even floored. That was maybe like three quarters of the way down. I took it up to like 5,000 RPM. But I mean, it's no slouch. This V6 engine is no slouch. And it also returns pretty good fuel economy at 19 city 31 highway, my bad. Which, I mean, it's a few mpg lower than some of the class leaders like the Avalon or the Kia Cadenza. But I'd hardly call those competitors because nothing really competes with this car. Nothing combines the level of badassedness and just comfort that you get in this car. So let's move on to the interior of the Charger. So the interior is exactly the same as the previous model. You have this massive black dashboard. Everything in here looks manly. That's one thing I want to point out. If you're a woman, you're probably not going to like this car as much as your husband would, because it just oozes manliness. You have this big fat leather wrapped steering wheel. You have this black soft touch dashboard. You have it's this metal-esque trim. It's like two-tone metal, and it's pressed metal as well. It has these little perforations in it running around the whole center display here, around the speedo, the tack. It all looks really cool, and all the backgrounds for the 8.4 Uconnect touchscreen is all this metal trim looking thing, and the same with the surround behind the gauges, all this metal-esque looking trim. Makes it look really manly. And all the lights in this car are red. All the lights in the speedo, on the touchscreen, on the shift knob, it's all red, making the car look really sporty, really powerful, and really muscular. But one thing I do like about this car, and I think everyone's gonna like this, is just how refined it is inside. It's unbelievably quiet in here. I took it up to like 75 miles an hour, and there's hardly any wind noise. There's no road noise, no engine noise. This is just a really sweet car to drive. And the ride is really nice too. It's very, very compliant without being overly soft and wallowy. It doesn't have a lot of body lean. There's a little bit when you're pushing it hard, but other than that, it's just a really comfortable, relaxed car to drive. So let's talk about some of the features of the interior. You got your 8.4-inch Uconnect touchscreen, and I can't say enough good things about this infotainment system. It's so easy to use. Just get it out of your mind of all the other infotainment systems that are slow, laggy, unintuitive. You can't figure out what button to press or what menu to open to get what you want. This thing is so well put together. The buttons respond immediately to the touch. Everything's really well organized. It's really intuitive to use. And all the graphics are really big and really easy to figure out. And the controls on the center stack are actually pretty easy too. Granted, this is a base model car, but all the knobs are big and man-sized. And it's just really easy to figure everything out. You have automatic climate control, all the radio tuning knobs are all nice and big, and you're gonna have no problems figuring out how to run anything in this car. And the steering wheel does have controls mounted on it, but quite frankly, I'm not a fan of steering wheel mounted controls. But if you do like steering wheel mounted controls, these are pretty easy to use. It's easy to modify the display up in between the tack and the speedometer, which is really nice. It can tell you a variety of things, from fuel economy to your trip computer to Bluetooth, music, your service records. All that good stuff is up there, and there's a million other screens that I don't want to bother to tell you about. So one thing I really like about this car are the seats. They're really nice bucket seats. Yes, they're cloth seats, but they're two-tone cloth. You have this gray insert and then the black bolsters with the white stitching. Well, it's this grayish-white stitching, but the bolsters on these seats are massive. They hug you in corners. They're really comfortable, plenty of support. When I first got in this car, I thought the seats were going to be way too hard because it kind of felt like I was sitting on a brick at first. But once I've been driving the car around for a bit, it's actually really comfortable. I have tons of lumbar support, and that's also adjustable, but I don't even need to use the adjustment because there's so much to begin with. I actually have tons of thigh support. The cushions are well padded. They're firm, but that means you're going to have a lot of support on a long trip, which is really nice. And I just love how cavernous the back seat is on this car. You have plenty of room. Kids will be having a fun time back there, especially when you floor it in your Hellcat. It's going to be fun. It's definitely a pretty good all-around family car if you're looking for something that stands out from the crowd. So moving on to the personality of the Charger, I think this car has the most personality out of any car in its segment, and that's mainly because just how badass it is. This car oozes like this charisma of just like wanting to punch someone in the face or like get up in someone's business. It scares people out of the way. It's just really cool. If you pull up to the bar or to school or to work in this car, they're gonna look at you with a little bit of fear and a whole lot of respect just because you drive a Charger. You drive a muscle car. And this car, even with the V6 engine, feels badass. When you drive this car, you feel like you're better than everyone else. You loom upon other motorists. If you ride up on someone, they get out of your way, no questions asked. You don't even need to flash your brights, they just move. And that is something that I absolutely love about this car. And I think it's something that you guys will love too. And I think the thing I love most about this car is just how much it makes me smile. Even with the V6 engine, it just makes me smile so much just because I feel so cool. I'm having so much fun. You get out, you look at it, it's a badass car. What else is there to say? Hey guys, thanks again for watching Motor Minds. I hope you can tune in to the next episode.